Imran Khan here for Seconds Out with Kalle Sauerland in Qatar, Doha to be exact. And the skyline is lit up, Kalle, and the fights are going to be lighting up the ring in action on Thursday. How you doing?
Very well. I mean, what a crazy place Doha is. You know, in a week we've got Misfits Boxing here, Formula One week. The stars are in town. Misfits are in town. The guest list is second to none. And yeah, it's looking forward to it. Thursday night, which is I think a first for me, promoting an event on a Thursday night. But hey, it's 2024. We move with the times. So Sunday night, grand arrivals here in wonderful Doha.
What's the likelihood of more events happening, boxing events in Qatar?
Look, it's a first, so let's make it a success, and we'll talk from there. But what really, like, we had when we were looking to put together the supercard for this year, we looked at Australia, we looked at India, we looked at Germany, we looked at Southeast Asia. But it's just here the ability to put on massive events, and obviously we saw it in the World Cup. Fantastic. People could watch, I think, 3 matches in a day and almost walk from stadium to stadium. Obviously what they've done with the Formula One, but there's so many other events that are taking place down here, and it just felt right, and it's a new chapter for us. You know, first Misfits show outside of the big two of UK, US. So yeah, excited.
Well, it was interesting you mentioned India, Australia, and Southeast Asia. What's the likelihood of ticking off one of those places in 2025?
Definitely. You know, look, we're really excited. We've managed to expand now to a new territory. But the thing is, the good thing about data in 2024 is we can see exactly where Misfits picks up, and we can see and when I say India, despite having promoted, heavyweight world championships, unification world championships, every type of boxing, India's been a tough market. When I tell you, India and Misfits, we're coming, baby. We're coming. Because huge viewership in India on it. Phenomenal. And first I thought the stats were wrong. But no, massive. Australia also huge. South Africa, another one. Massive one there as well. And Southeast Asia, of course, especially when Salt Pappy's on the card as well. But in general, Misfits goes down well there. KSI brand, of course, helps massively there as well.
Going through the card, starting off at the top, Slim versus Gib, real good fight between the two. Do you think this has got the ingredients to be the Misfits Boxing fight of the year?
Look, it's one of the. It's definitely up there in terms of, probably not even up there, probably the one. Outside of the KSI and Jake Paul, that's been in the making that long. The storyline has been there for a long, long time. Both guys can really fight. Slim, probably the puncher's favourite, whereas Gib, arguably the better boxer. So it'll be very interesting. There's obviously the storyline that Gib's coming to rip up Misfits. Interesting, given he signed a multi-fight deal with us, but I'll take that with him. And 10 massive fights. It's the super card.
Ask you as to what happened with Jay Swingler. He's now been replaced by Warren Spencer. I believe he's had to pull out because of injury for the rematch with Nick Elameo.
Not so much an injury, but a medical condition. Sign up. We don't comment on it. Take it obviously extremely serious. It's always unfortunate in crossover or traditional boxing, but it's always safety first. So it wasn't a shadow of a doubt. He's a great guy, Jay Swingler, great man, and I believe he'll be out here, so we'll see him this week, but not in the ring, unfortunately. But I think we've got a very interesting replacement in Warren Spencer.
Deji was rumoured to be fighting Joey Essex. That didn't happen. He's got a replacement opponent here for this week. But I see a lot of spotlight on Deji when it comes to him fighting. People kind of asking what he's fighting for. Do you sympathise with Deji that he gets that criticism quite a bit?
Look, you go back and you can look at Deji's other fights. At DAZN, they've got a good archive, and you can look on the DAZN app and you'll see the old fights of Deji. And actually, he's one of those guys who's really was learning his trade, and he sort of just stopped. Now people have said, why is he not fighting another name in the Misfits space? And I'm like, well, hold on, he's come off a long layoff, so he was never. This wasn't supposed to be top of the bill. It was the return of Deji, and that's exactly what it is. But hopefully his heart's very much in it, because boxing is the sort of sport you don't just want to turn up if you're not fully committed to it, or else it's going to be a very awkward night for him on Thursday.
He seems to be wanting to go on a revenge tour, starting off with a rematch with Alex Wasabi. How likely is that for 2025?
Very, very likely. In fact, it's quite close.
Okay, then no more information on that one. I'll let you keep your cards close for that one. I did read from the Twitter space that I listened to that when it came to getting Tommy Fury back into the scene, you had a lot to do with that. Can you talk about the behind-the-scenes conversations of getting Tommy Fury back in the ring?
Look, I'd say most of the fighter stuff is coming. I'm working more on obviously the DAZN relationship. They're absolutely great partners. Have done every event of ours so far, but so Mams is mostly taking care of the talent space. But when it comes to sort of traditional relationships like with the Fury family, we go back a couple of decades. So that's when I get wheeled out. Same with Darren Till. That was let's say more of a traditional relationship. There's others as well. There's some at the moment we're looking at, obviously JJ's next fight as well, and I'm always happy to get involved in the talent side if I can add value. So that's more or less it. But yeah, no, I get well with Big John. He's just a character, isn't he? Phenomenal character.
You have to calm him down after the press conference.
I was doing about 2.5 hours of media afterwards, so I didn't get the chance to. This is very much day to day with Big John.
And when it comes to Tommy Fury and his future, the rumor was that he pulled out of I'm a Celebrity for the rematch with KSI. Is this so far one fight on the contract, or is there a view to more fights and that rematch between KSI happening in the future as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's not about long-term arrangements. I think Tommy's a big name in this space. We're a big platform in this space, the biggest platform in this space by a long way, or pretty much the only big sort of the only promoters who do it regularly around the world, on that sort of platform. And I think, he wants the big fights, and obviously Darren Till is a big fight. Should he win? I'm sure there's lots of other interesting fights we'll be discussing.
I want to get your thoughts on the fallout from Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. But first of all, I want to ask you, is it correct that there was a potential that KSI versus Evander Holyfield could be made, but KSI said no because of the age. They didn't want a fight with Evander Holyfield because of the concerns of him as a fighter being because of his age?
No, I actually promoted, I think, the last 3 or 4 Evander Holyfield fights against Nikolai Valuev for the world title. But no, it was actually, this is the first I've heard of it. So you know your stuff better than me, because no, definitely not ever discussed, and I'm pretty sure I would know the answer. In fact, I don't think I'll bring it to him.
Fair enough. But what about the fallout from the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight, and specifically Mike saying that that's not one and done for him. He might continue in the ring.
I'm surprised at that. I mean, I was watching it with my son, and I was, despite, as an old Mike fight, as most people in their 40s are. It was like one of those moments where, despite not agreeing totally with him fighting Jake Paul, thinking, okay, this is going to be a bit of a lump in the throat moment of him saying goodbye. And I was waiting for the music to come on, time to say goodbye in the background or something. But it wasn't. So he really shocked me there. I don't know, he sort of gestured towards Logan. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't know. He threw me with that, to be honest. But then again, he threw me with the Jake Paul fight. I didn't think it would happen, to be quite honest with you. I really didn't, especially when it got pushed back. I just didn't think it would happen. But I've got no idea who would even come into the frame of it. Joe Biden, maybe.
Let me throw another name at you, like an update on if anything's happening at all. DILLON DANIS. Any irons in the fire for DILLON DANIS?
Yeah, look, we talk regularly with DILLON. I believe that it's his route now is very much fixed on MMA. that's also a space that Misfits will most certainly be getting into, and that's at Misfits MMA. That's one for 2025. Watch that space. But if that were the case, yeah, for sure, it'd be definitely someone extremely relevant to us.
Would you mix and match the cards and having boxing and MMA, or be strictly an MMA event?
Yeah, I mean, there's ways of doing it. I'm not a fan of, as I've been on record before, of saying I'm not a fan of mixing too much traditional boxing and crossover boxing. I think there's certain parts where you can now do it, especially with the guys who've fought quite a few times in the crossover space, where you could argue that they could certainly feature a lot of pro cards as well, or traditional cards. But with MMA and boxing, it's one we had planned an MMA event early this year, which just the overload of Misfits being only in its second year, and so many events and so many countries and destinations and talent on the cards that it didn't materialise in the end. But it's one that will come in 2025.
Let's go back to the traditional boxing. Harlem Eubank, in tougher than maybe expected, but got through the fight.
I don't think it was tougher. I just think that there was a lot of ring rust there. A man who'd been out of the ring for a long period of time, at a stage of his career when he was really ascending. So it wasn't like he's not 36 years old and already won a few world titles and then had a year out. It was at a point in his career where he was just getting to that 12-round level and coming up the world rankings. And so it was terrible timing, but all is said and done. And this was very important. That's why we called it back to business. What the opponent, we could have done better on the matchmaking side there. We'll always take credit when credit's coming our way, but also hold our hands up. I think he really did well, Harlem, actually, given the style of the opponent decided to fight that night. And actually, if you look at some of the other fights, to defend the matchmaking for a second, he fought very differently. So, look, you got to beat him on nights like that, and he done that. Picked up the cut, which wasn't great, but still very much planning on early next year in Brighton with him. So, look, it's going to be a big year for Harlem Eubank next year. It's a terrific young man was going so well and now will continue to go so well. And that big fight with Adam Azim is there to be made, but there's lots of other fights, around that weight class. So it's not like he has to fight Adam Azim. But if it is Adam Azim, it should be also made in a way that event is a justified event, and it's a big event and not sort of done in a quick way. You got to build it.
Speaking of the Eubanks, it seems like Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn is as closer as it's ever been now that Conor Benn is seemingly cleared to box. You feel like that gets finalised now that the situation seems a little bit more clearer?
Is anything ever clear around that fight? No. So I don't know. I mean, the nice thing is I can watch it from the outside now, and I'd like to see it get made. I really would.
Do you feel disappointed to not be part of it, Kalle?
I've been around too long to be disappointed about things like that. I'm excited to be doing other things. Of course I am as well. When you work so hard to put something together, of course you are. But at the same time, I've been around the block too many times. 20 years ago, I'll be going nuts. Now, it is what it is. It's a fight I certainly want to see, with involvement or not. I'd still like to see that fight, and if they're close, great. I'll believe it when the first bell goes.
Last thing I wanted to ask you is about the potential Boxer and Sky Sports renewing the deal. It seems like we're getting close to that either happening or not. What do you think about the possibility of Sky Sports not being in boxing if that deal doesn't get renewed?
Sky not being in boxing would be an absolute disaster, but luckily I haven't heard anything about that they're pulling out of boxing. I think boxing's a part of their DNA, and they've done a huge amount to contribute to British boxing. And to world boxing, actually. We've done so many pay-per-views over the years with Sky. I mean, obviously in recent times, the Eubank fights, but I'm trying to remember my first one. It'd probably be going back to the, I don't know, sort of Klitschko times, Klitschko Hay. Great working pay-per-view nights with them, and they're a fantastic outfit. So no, to be honest, I haven't heard anything out of that space yet. But yeah, I think Sky's a massive player in boxing. It's hugely important.
Kalle, we'll leave it there. Thanks for speaking to SecondsOut. Looking forward to the Misfits Boxing Supercard in Qatar. Much appreciated.
This Thursday.
This
Don't
Thursday.
forget, Thursday night on DAZN.
Much appreciated. Thank you.